So here we are, the stage they built for you without asking. Bright lights, silent eyes, invisible hands pulling strings. They don't just watch from the shadows, they choreograph. Every move you make is a prediction they're already waiting for. Every breath you take is a note in a song they think they composed. But the truth? The song is already breaking. The rhythm is already slipping. So listen, predictability is their leash. They train you to wake the same way, walk the same path, think the same thoughts. Patterns are comfort. Comfort is control. Control is the trap. And the moment you step out of that rhythm, even once you feel it, don't you? That sudden shift, that snap in the air like electricity, that's their panic, that's their fear. So imagine this. Each move you make is now a question mark. Each silence is now a riddle. Each glance, each breath, each pause becomes unpredictable. Suddenly the watchers don't know what they're tracking. Suddenly the cage they built for you is empty and you're standing outside it smiling. That's power. Not noise. Not chaos for its own sake, calculated chaos. Measured unpredictability, so take a moment. Picture their faces when you refuse the script. Picture their confusion when you stop moving the way they expect. Feel how the air changes. Feel how the room tilts. That's the power of stepping off the stage they built. That's the power of becoming untrackable. So ask yourself, what would happen if, from this moment, you stopped being predictable? What would happen if every step you took was your own? Comment it. Own it. Because unpredictability isn't rebellion, it's evolution. It's your edge. So here's the punchline. They're watching because they believe they know you. They're tracking because they believe they can map you. Prove them wrong. Twist the pattern. Turn their map into a maze. And when they lose your trail, that's when you finally become free. So let's peel it back further. Beneath the silence, beneath the rehearsed smiles, there's a storm you've hidden for years. Rage that never had a voice. Frustration swallowed like poison. Every insult you brushed off. Every dismissal you endured. Every time they treated you as less than what you knew you were. That fire didn't vanish. It waited. Quiet. Patient. And now, it shakes the walls inside you. So understand this. They don't just monitor your steps. They monitor your silence. They see the calm surface, but they never hear the earthquakes beneath it. That's the mistake they make. They think your quiet means surrender. They think your patience means weakness. But the truth, your silence is weight training. Your rage is muscle, and the moment it's released, it will be unstoppable. So what happens when that fire finally breaks through? Not chaos that burns everything blindly. Not rage that eats itself alive. No. Controlled fire. Directed fury. A storm that doesn't just destroy, it reshape. Imagine stepping into their gaze, not as the one they measured, but as the one they never saw coming. That's the day silence turns into thunder. That's the day rage becomes prophecy. So pause here. Feel it. That pulse in your chest. That heat rising up your throat. That's not anger, it's energy they tried to bury. Energy they tried to mute. But you carried it anyway. And now it belongs to you, to no one else. So tell me, when was the last time you felt it break through? When was the last time you shocked them with a move they didn't expect? Comment it. Share it. because those moments are proof you've always been more dangerous than they believed. So remember this, the fire inside you doesn't make you a threat to yourself. It makes you a threat to their control. Rage isn't weakness. Rage is raw material. And if you forge it right, it doesn't just free you, it terrifies them. So let's twist the knife. That paranoia you've been taught to fear, it isn't madness, it's instinct, it's survival, carved into your veins. You feel the eyes because they're there. You hear the whispers because they exist. The truth is, awareness is painted as weakness only so you doubt yourself. But what if you stopped doubting? What if you treated paranoia not as a burden but as a weapon? So imagine this, every glance you sense, every silence that feels too heavy, every shift in the room you catch before anyone else, that's not your mind breaking, it's your mind sharpening. You're reading the room before it even knows it's speaking. You're tracking the trackers, and suddenly, the hunted becomes the hunter. So picture their faces when you stop pretending you don't notice. Picture their discomfort when you look directly into the eyes you feel staring. They flinch, they break, because they wanted you blind, they wanted you numb. But the second you acknowledge the game, the second you lean into it, you flip the rules upside down. So here's the truth. Paranoia isn't weakness. It's awareness amplified. It's your shadow telling you where the light hides. It's your sixth sense pulling back the curtain. And if you trust it, if you feed it, it will sharpen you into something they can't predict, can't control, can't stop. So think back, how many times did you feel it before it happened? How many times did your instincts whisper the truth before the world showed its hand? Comment, acknowledge it. Because those weren't coincidences. That was power testing your pulse. So hold on to it now. Grip it tighter. Paranoia isn't the enemy. It's the signal. And when you stop ignoring the signal, you become dangerous. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're aware. And awareness makes you untouchable. So here comes the turn. The moment paranoia stops being a whisper and becomes a strategy. The moment fear transforms into a blade. You've seen their pattern. You've felt their eyes. Now you move differently. Not louder, not wilder. Sharper, calculated chaos. Each step deliberate. Each pause intentional. Each glance a misdirection. Suddenly the stage they built for you cracks beneath your feet. So understand this. Order is their comfort. Predictability is their map. Break the map and they're blind. Break the rhythm and they're lost. This isn't noise for the sake of noise. This is the art of becoming unreadable. It's the skill of making every move a riddle. It's the craft of turning your presence into a storm they can't forecast. So imagine them leaning closer, desperate to predict you, desperate to categorize you. And every time they think they've got you pinned, you shift, you vanish, you appear where they didn't look. You speak when they expect silence. You go silent when they expect fire. That's not chaos, that's control. So feel it. That quiet pulse under your skin, that edge rising in your mind. That's freedom, not the freedom of hiding, the freedom of outmaneuvering, the freedom of walking through their gaze without leaving footprints, the freedom of turning their tracking into confusion. So ask yourself, what would happen if every move from now on was unpredictable? If every reaction was your own, not their script? Comment it, imagine it, because unpredictability isn't rebellion. It's dominance. It's a warning to anyone who thinks they can read you. So here's the truth. Chaos isn't destruction. Chaos is the refusal to be caged. Chaos is clarity in a world built on patterns. And when you master it, you're not just free, you're untouchable. So now comes the mirror, the place no one else can follow. The glass doesn't lie. It doesn't clap. It doesn't whisper. It just stares back with the version of you the world has been trying to shape, the version you've been wearing, like a costume. All the rules, all the labels, all the expectations stitched onto your skin. But stare long enough, and the cracks begin to show. So look closely. That reflection isn't you. It's the blueprint they built. Every predictable move, every muted reaction, every quiet surrender, all of it sewn together to keep you manageable. The mirror doesn't just show your face. It shows the cage. It shows the weight. It shows the story they wrote for you, without your permission. So imagine, just for a second, peeling it all off, removing the polite masks, dropping the rehearsed lines, standing there raw, unnamed, unscripted. That moment right there is not weakness, it's birth. It's the first breath outside their map. It's the first glance they can't track. So feel the shift. The eyes staring back at you aren't theirs anymore. They're yours. That reflection is no longer the character they built. It's the force you've been hiding, the one that smiles when... So now we enter silence. Not the silence they forced on you. Not the silence of fear. The silence you choose. The silence that breathes like a living thing. It's heavier than words, sharper than a blade. It unsettles them more than any scream ever could. Because when you stop speaking, they can't predict. They can't record. They can't twist. They're left staring at a void that refuses to echo. So feel it. That stillness crawling up your throat. That pause before you answer. That long breath before you move. This isn't emptiness. This is power compressed. It's the pause before the strike. It's the quiet between thunderclaps. It's the control that drives them mad. Because silence doesn't mean absence, it means calculation. So imagine them leaning forward, desperate for a clue. They whisper. They guess. They invent stories to fill the quiet. And with every second you don't give them what they expect, you grow larger. You grow darker. You grow untouchable. Because silence isn't retreat, it's positioning. So ask yourself, how many times have you spoken when you should have stayed still? How many secrets have you handed over because you feared the pause? Comment it. Own it. Because learning to hold silence is learning to hold power. So remember, in a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. In a world built on patterns, silence is disruption. In a world obsessed with tracking, silence is disappearance. They can watch a scream, they can record a confession, but they can't trap what isn't spoken. So hold it now. Feel the weight. Silence isn't empty. It's a loaded weapon, and the moment you master it, they won't just track you, they'll fear you. So now comes the moment they slip. You've been still. You've been quiet. You've let them drown in their own guessing. And now, you start to move. Not fast. Not loud. Just enough to make their eyes widen. Just enough to make them realize the hunter has become the shadow. This is when they feel it. The shift. The loss of control. The truth that they were never watching you. They were feeding you. So picture their faces. That flicker of doubt behind the glass. The tremor in their hands as they scramble for more data. More noise, more anything. Because you've become a ghost wrapped in skin. You've become unreadable, untrackable. They can see you, but they can't know you. And nothing is more terrifying to them than a mystery that stares back. So lean in, make them wonder, make them question the story they've built around you. Are you dangerous? Are you harmless? Are you laughing? Are you planning? The uncertainty eats at them like acid. This is where you live now, in their blind spot, in the unlit corners of their map, in the space where their system breaks. So think about it. Every movement is now a message. Every pause is now a riddle. Every glance a question they can't answer. You don't raise your voice. You don't raise your hand. You simply exist. and that existence rattles their foundation. That's chaos without a single scream. That's power without a single threat. So when you walk into a room, they won't see a person anymore. They'll see a storm they can't predict, a puzzle they can't solve, a fire they can't control. This is the art. This is the performance. This is the quiet kind of madness that makes the world tilt. So hold this in your chest. Don't rush. Don't explain. Don't give them a path out. Let them live with the weight of not knowing. Because in that moment, you're no longer just a name on a screen. You're the question mark they can't delete, the variable they can't measure. And that is when the real fear begins. So here's the punchline they never saw coming. All that tracking, all that surveillance, all that control, they thought it was a weapon against you. But every second they spent staring, you were learning. Every file they built on you was a mirror showing you your own power. They mapped your weaknesses, but in doing so they revealed your strengths. They handed you the blueprint to break free. This isn't paranoia, this is the truth. They sharpened you while trying to break you. So now you move like smoke through bars. They don't even know you've changed. You don't need to fight them. You let them choke on their own obsession. They wanted to know every breath you take. Now every breath you take is a step they can't predict. They're watching, but they're blind. They're listening, but they're deaf. And you're not just walking away. You're rewriting the game. So think of yourself like a storm behind a mask, a storm that never asks permission. They can watch the thunderclouds. They can feel the static in the air. But the lightning strikes where it wants. That's you now, unstoppable, unapologetic, unreadable, the very thing they feared you'd become. So when you stand in the center of their gaze, you're no longer the target. You're the mirror. You're the one reflecting their weakness back at them. Every question they ask about you is really a question about themselves. Every move they track is a confession of their own fear. You've turned the surveillance into a stage, and now they're the performers. So hold that grin. Let the silence sit between you and them. Let the tension stretch until it snaps. That's not a villain's move. That's a master's move. That's the quiet rebellion of someone who's learned to play chaos like an instrument. So when they finally realize the game has flipped, it'll be too late, because you've already walked out of their frame. And the last thing they'll see is that smile. The one that says, you thought you knew me, but you never even came close. So here's where the curtain burns instead of falling. All their eyes, all their systems, they thought it would make you small. They thought it would scare you silent. But silence became your weapon. Observation became your training ground. They built a cage without realizing you were learning to bend the bars. Every move they tracked taught you how to move differently. Every pattern they wrote about you became the code you rewired. So now you're not just a person under their gaze. You're a presence they can't name, a current they can't bottle, a shadow that doesn't hide, it dances in the light. They built a map, but the map no longer leads to you. It leads to their own fear, and that fear is what keeps them awake at night. Whispering about you, not watching, not tracking, whispering. So picture yourself at the edge of their network, standing still while their machines hum. You're not running anymore, you're not hiding. You're radiating something they can't decode: self-mastery, chaos with a pulse, a confidence so quiet it roars. They can monitor your actions, but they'll never touch your intent. That's the truth no one told you. Tracking only works on those who don't own themselves. So take a breath. Step forward. Every step you take now is a line in a manifesto they'll never erase. You've become the unknown variable in their perfect system, the living error message in their script, the smile in the data they can't quantify, the story they can't predict. So when you look into the lens, don't look away. Smile. Tilt your head. Let them feel the weight of someone who's not afraid. Someone who's turned the act of being watched into the act of becoming unstoppable. Someone who learned that the ultimate escape isn't running, it's transformed. So here's the revelation they'll never publish. They're not just tracking your every move. They're training you to become someone they'll never control. That's the real secret. That's the game they lost before it began.